Alex and Jeff.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. Let's do this, guys. We have our special guest today. So we are doing a new thing we're going to start doing every month is School Owner Spotlight. So our school owner today that we are excited to bring on is Josh Smith. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so tell everyone where you're from, and we're going to get into some other things a little later on, but tell everyone where you're from and what school you represent.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I'm Josh Smith. I currently live in Nashville, Tennessee. I own 3 schools, one in Paducah, Kentucky, one in Clarksville, Tennessee, and I have another one right now watching in the North Nashville market called Mount Juliet, Tennessee.
Awesome. That's amazing. That's amazing, man.
And Premier Martial Arts.
Yes,
Premier Martial Arts.
Yeah. That's awesome. And we're going to get into the story of just how you've kind of launched them and just how long you've been in business, all that stuff in a little bit. But before that, Alex and I are going to do our viral video segment. So, and you can join in and watch as well. So
they're always entertaining, that's for sure.
Yes. I want to see which one we have first. All right, so this first one is a great one that has Nico from Team Impex, but this is Duvry's Martial Arts. Let's see. And so, it's not going right.
You were mentioning that this is going to be like you could see this ended up being like a challenge. Like
well, not this one. No, we're having some issue on.
We're glitching. That's okay.
It's all good. But
people who are listening to us right now, they don't even see what's going on anyway. They're going to be listening tomorrow. It's
so
all right.
Duvry's his son has been putting out a lot of videos, and so what he does, he combines his sport karate type things with his personal training and physical therapy type stuff. And so he's on Instagram has put out a lot of great training drills and different things. And so I thought it would be cool to let the audience kind of see what we're doing there, what he's doing. So check that out, Duvry's Martial Arts on Instagram, and we'll see that
I'll have
soon.
to check that one out.
Yeah. So let's go to our next one if we can get that working.
If it works, it works.
That's right. Oh, there we go. It might be Instagram ones that aren't working. Oh,
this
all right.
thing.
This is crazy. This lady is crushing.
Listen.
Look at this. Bricks, right?
But like loads of them. She just destroying her hand trying to bust over. Look at. We got to watch it from the start. Look what she does. She takes a steel pipe to her face and smashes it. And then she just goes on smashing bricks. No, the thing is, she's wading in like ankle deep of water while she does all this stuff too.
It's nuts, man.
Who wants a piece of this woman? Not I, says the fly. I tell you what. And then she strikes a pose when she's done.
Oh, I didn't see that. When she smashed something over her head, I didn't see that.
Yeah, she smashes a pipe across her face.
Dude, there's more and more videos of people doing that lately. And it's crazy to me. Like, you've seen the ones of people like shin kick fire hydrants and fire extinguishers and stuff. It's crazy. Yeah.
All right, let's see the next one.
All right, this is funny. So this is a little challenge they did. Wear your sparring gear while doing something random challenge, right? So these guys are having dinner while it must be the Instagram videos that aren't working. But they're having dinner while in their sparring gear, right? And trying to eat with their big sparring gear on. And it's hilarious. So I think this is a challenge we need to do. Random things that you can do with, here we go. It's kind of going. But random things that you can do with your sparring gear on.
Yeah, we'll give it one more shot, but don't go. It's not going.
But
That's cool.
but
You know what?
but
That
yeah,
is
so
an
that's
interesting
funny.
thing, because when you wear sparring gear around, you do kind of look like you look a little nuts.
Yeah.
Like if you just go around wearing a headgear, you look like you were always supposed to wear a headgear.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, yeah. So we are back on it here. So Josh, how long you been in martial arts, and where did you start?
Josh, there's a lot of sound going in the background where you're. I don't know what it.
I'm at the dojo. Let me.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
give me 1 second. I'm going to tell them to turn it down. Give me 1 second.
Oh, all right.
No,
You're having a party over there.
No problem.
Yeah, I want to ask him about Nashville. You ever been to Nashville?
It's been a long time. I went
I've never
for
been to Nashville.
a NASCA tournament years ago.
Sir.
Yeah, a NASCA tournament years ago. David Deaton used to put on a national tournament for a long time, and I went probably from '94 to 2000, probably like 4 times or 5 times. But that was my last time I've been to Nashville.
So, did you always grow up in Nashville or around that area, Josh?
No. So I actually was born and raised in Western Kentucky, which is like 2 hours north of Nashville.
Okay.
And, so I started martial arts when I was around 5 years old. And I had to take my headphones off for a sec to tell them to be quiet. We're still on the question of, you wanted me to sort of give the bio of like,
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I just was curious about that. I've never been to Nashville. And so I was just like, I keep hearing it. It's like, apparently I think that's like the it place that people are like moving to now. What is that? Do you feel that in the area?
So
what's up?
So I just moved there myself this last year, and I'm going to open several more martial arts schools there, because it's one of the hottest markets in America right now for virtually anything, restaurants, homes, it does not matter. Like, so don't quote me on this number, but supposedly at one point I'd heard that like 1,000 people a day were moving to Nashville, Tennessee in the greater area. And so just tons of growth and lots of industry and money. So it's one of the fastest growing places. So which is why I'm getting in on it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
wow.
Awesome.
Yeah, get yourself some land now before it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you grew up where?
So I grew up in Murray, Kentucky. It's for you all who are sports fans. I know y'all were talking basketball earlier. You probably heard of Murray State Racers.
Yes.
So, anyways, that was my hometown, and it's a small town, and I started martial arts in like super traditional Shotokan karate, and I got introduced to you guys. Everyone's probably familiar with the Eubanks, Ken and Marty Eubanks.
Yes.
Brian Ruth and that group. So I was about 12 or 13 years old, and I had not really got into the competition side because my school I trained at was more like self-defense oriented and just not really, doing the point fighting thing. And so I got with the Eubanks group, started training quite a bit. And there was a little distance between my house and theirs, but we're all in Western Kentucky in the greater area. So really took off from there and got into doing tournaments throughout my teenage years. But I came from a very poor family. We didn't have the financial means to get out much on the circuit and compete. I had a single mom with 4 kids. And the karate tournament life just wasn't going to happen. So I went to the Marine Corps after high school and got stationed in Southern California. And to give the G-rated version of this story, I more or less, started running with the wrong people, doing the wrong things through my younger 20s, and didn't really plug back into karate. And at the age of 28, I woke up one day and I decided, you know what, like I'm not going to drink or do drugs, get high, like nothing again. And I made a commitment that day. I was 28 and I remember it very vividly. And so I made a choice at that day that I was going to turn my entire life around. And I'm coming up on 11 years of sobriety, but a lot of things happened during that time. I got one of my goals. I wrote it down. I started reading books and I wrote writing goals down. And I said, you know what, man, I'm gonna get back into NASCA, and furthermore, I'm gonna be ranked on NASCA, and I'm gonna start competing. And I had a lot of challenges to go through to get back out there on the circuit. But man, I went at it. That's where I met you guys, and so I started working basically just to have money to compete in tournaments. And so I made a go of that for several years of my life. And so that's kind of what happened.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh, man. All right. You had so much to unpack in what you just said right there. Number one, I didn't know. I didn't know you were a Marine. All right.
Yeah.
When were you a Marine? From when to when?
1999 to 2003.
So that's all right. All right. Fantastic. Okay. What did you do? What was your MOS? What was your job in the Marine Corps?
So I was a digital switchboard operator in the communications field, and I was attached to artillery. So ended up sort of cross-training as a radio operator as well. And I played rugby for the Marine Corps base team out of Camp Pendleton. And
stop.
Yeah. And lifted weights a lot.
Wow, that's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
A lot of Marines in my family. There's my brother, cool. My brother-in-law, even my neighbor. Right, he's a Marine. And that's the. Well, no, that's another conversation. Right? And the Marines just had a birthday, so happy birthday.
Yeah, 10th of November.
And then, wow, so there's even more to unpack in there. So then you said, you turn your life around. You're coming on 11 years of sobriety. If I'm putting pieces together, you said 28.
Yeah, I'm 39 now. So
when was it? 2009?
2009. Yeah. January 15th, I'll have 11 years. So.
All right. So, wow, we have some similarities. When I was 27, that's when I turned my life around. That's when I accepted Christ as my Lord and Savior. I didn't I'm not even going to get into it because it ain't about me. And if anybody didn't know bad things about me, I'm not about to just lay them out. And you can ask. I'll be happy to tell you. So then your goal was just like, I want to be ranked on NASCAR. I want to work so that I can do that. You weren't just ranked. Weren't you like number one for like a decent amount of time?
Yeah, for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's cool, man. That's some good stuff.
Talking about.
Yeah, and I remember seeing you everywhere, and competing and trying different things, and then I think at one point even you were doing some uniforms and stuff for a while, right?
Yes. I still do guerrilla gear, and it's definitely not like a top priority too much anymore, just because I have several karate schools and a lot going on there. But I still do some custom uniform work as well.
I think you supply some of the NK schools in Minnesota their uniforms. Yeah,
absolutely. There's several there's several organizations that I provide their uniforms.
That's awesome.
That's pretty dope.
So what year did you start your martial arts school? When did you decide that this was going to be what you were going to do, and not just, hey, I'm going to focus on NASCAR, or now I'm going to open up a martial arts school?
Yeah, so that was the year of 2014, and if I have a couple of minutes here, it's kind of a funny story of how I got there. Really,
do it.
My whole life, my mom was always like, "Son, you need to start a karate school. You should teach karate. It's what you love doing." And I was always like, "Mom, like nobody makes money teaching karate. Do you know anyone made money?" And you just really didn't. At best, like the guy maybe made enough money to pay the bills and keep the doors open. But most of our instructors, I'm not going to speak for everyone, but usually the guy had a day job, and like he just kind of did it as a hobby. And But so I never did it, and I was at the age of about 32, 33, and I knew that I was going to be aging out of NASCAR at some point. I'd been running that circuit pretty hard for 4 or 5 years. I was competing 35, 40 weekends out of the year. I'd do small tournaments, big tournaments, everything in between. And so I started training some kids like in the Western Kentucky area that were not my students. I mean, I didn't have a karate school, but their parents would contact me and say, "Hey, will you work with my child and, point fighting and do private lessons and stuff?" So at one point I was up to like having about 6 or 8 kids that I was training individually. And so the thought came to me, I'm like, why don't I just put them all into one class and teach a freaking group class here? So one thing led to another, and I got some ambition about me, and decided that I was going to open up my karate school. So that's sort of the deal there. And I had to work a day job for about 2 years. And I put a Facebook post up about this recently. Some of the viewers may have seen this, but I set the goal that the first month at my karate school made more money than my day job, that I was going to go in there and tell my boss that I quit. So for 2 years straight, virtually, like really, I had no days off. Railroad tracks.
Yeah.
We're good, man.
Yeah.
So no, that's not you. That's Jeff.
Yeah, that's me.
So for 2 years straight, I would go to work in the daytime. I'd get off at 4 or 5 p.m. I'd go to my dojo and I would work till 9 p.m. Teach all the classes. I'd do the intros to sign everyone up, like on Saturdays and Sundays. And so for like 2 years, I didn't have a day off. So I'd take naps in my car at lunch and eat a peanut butter sandwich and get back to the grind and try to find time to compete and train a little bit. And so I was super, super busy, and it was worse than being broke because I was actually having to pay all the bills. I was going to work at my day job to keep the dojo doors open in hopes that someday it would pay off. So eventually it did, and I made more money than I did at my day job. So I go and I quit my job. I tell the guy, I'm like, hey, I quit. I gave him a 2-week notice, and I go and I'm so proud, and I call my mom on the phone, like, Mom, I quit my day job. And she was like, son, like, what in the world are you thinking? Like, you're gonna, like, you did this as a hobby as a kid. What in the world are you thinking? And I'm like, I'm all in. I'm all in. That's what I'm gonna do.
Or aren't you like, Mom? Hey, your fault. You said I should do this. No standards now, Mom.
Yeah, absolutely. So the rest is history, man. Just always, at that time I was not Premier Martial Arts. I was just an independent school owner, and I kind of transitioned. So every step of the way for me, it's been about growth and being able to duplicate that system, add more professionalism, and Premier has, I'm not just giving a plug on them, but they definitely paved the way for that.
Right. But I mean, so we're talking about 6 years, and now you're at 3 schools. That's huge. Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. What? Yeah. I mean, a lot of us are not feeling comfortable with our one school. So, for you to do that, it took a lot of hard work. It took a lot of struggle, right? And just determination. So just kind of talk about that. Where was the first school at?
So it was in Paducah, Kentucky, and to be more specific, it was by these railroad tracks. Literally, you always hear like on the other side of the railroad tracks. So I had this dojo like right by the railroad tracks, and there was a illegal gambling hall on one side that had like these coin machines and stuff, and they would like sell drugs out of this place. And there were prostitutes in the parking lot. But I was in this building for like $300 a month. I mean, it was dirt cheap, and it's all I could afford. I was a karate competitor, for God's sake. I didn't have money. I didn't have credit. I couldn't go to the bank. Like a friend of mine had to co-sign for $4,500, something like that, so I could go buy mats and a couple bags. And so, like, I had to do this on a budget, man.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I understand. I've been there. It's crazy. It's crazy. But man, that's awesome. And then you the second
you're in
school,
Paducah, Kentucky.
And then the second school was Nashville, right?
No. So
that's 3.
Yeah. So the second school, fast forward some years, and I started another school in Clarksville, Tennessee, which it's about 30 miles north of Nashville. So not far.
Okay.
How far apart are they from each other, from the first school to the second school?
100 miles. Now, I heard for the viewers that weren't listening, it sounds like Jeff lives in a similar type place. So Paducah, Kentucky, for you all who aren't familiar with that, is like the biggest town for like 100-mile radius. And it's not even that big anyways. But surrounding that area, it's a metropolitan area, maybe 60,000 if you count the county, 100,000 if you pull, because they call it a micropolitan because it's all farming communities that surround it. So those kids, they don't have karate, dance, really they don't have anything. So if you even want to eat at a chain restaurant and you're in the surrounding counties, you have to come into Paducah. So we are, legitimately able to pull from 100,000 people, something like that, give or take.
Okay. Yeah.
But so I end up in Clarksville, Tennessee. For you all who are familiar, that's the home of Fort Campbell Army Base, a huge Army base, probably a town of 150,000. Not great, high income necessarily, but just a lot of people and good families. And that's actually where I'm at tonight doing this episode.
Okay,
Awesome.
so
Awesome.
I have a question on the second school.
Sure.
That seems to be for martial arts school owners, like, if you can get into the second school, like what was your thought process? what was it? Did you, when you opened the first school, was your ambition to eventually open a second school? And then when you did have that ambition, how did you know it was time? And what was your process about going through that?
Man, great questions. And so when I opened the first school, I always knew that I wanted to have 3 schools. Now,
what's your goals now?
5.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. Because we're competitors. Like, you can't be satisfied with 1 first place trophy or whatever. Like, so, 3 is too easy. And not to be arrogant, because the first one is hard. Okay. But you get it going. Now, to answer your question, Alex, of kind of the check marks that had to happen before going from school 1 to school 2. And that literally took me like around 4.5 years to do that. But I needed to have $100,000 in the bank, back in it, like liquid cash. And then I needed to have a 12-month gross revenue average of over $30,000 per school for a 12-month average for school 1. And it needed to achieve that without me being the program director or the instructor or anything as far as like the main person in that school, meaning the business term that the school is leveraged and it could operate without me and put those numbers up.
Because that number 1 school was going to have to bankroll school number 2.
Right.
And it was all going to have to function without you there anyway. So that's a great point.
That's I like that. Yeah.
So it took a little while to get those systems. There was a huge learning curve. And then to get to school 2, and I don't want to jump far ahead, but there's a learning curve there too. So
yeah. Now, when this process was happening, this was under Premier, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They specialize in duplicating.
Yeah. And duplicate. Yeah. So
read that one.
Yeah. Ben has a question. I don't know. Travis can bring that one up for us. Does Barry Vanover is he still running the Premier? That was the first question. And then how's the support / franchise model? There we go.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to be sort of careful, not, taking too many questions about Premier specifically, just not to create any problems there. But yeah, so Barry's still the head guy. That's his organization. And they are amazing at what they do. So definitely would not be where I'm at today without the systems and just the backline support.
Gotcha. Yeah. And if you guys are interested, reach out to them and find out, right?
So I'm going to say I'm a little interested because I know that there's a fair amount of Premier martial arts. I don't know how it started or what it really is. If you want to get into that, I know you said you don't want to get too much into that. I was telling you what I don't know. If there's anything you feel like, I can answer that, go right ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll just give like a brief overview without getting like too personal because I probably would mess up some of the facts and I don't want Barry Vanover calling me tomorrow. But Premier is probably 15. I think it started around 2005. So it's about 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
And informally, Barry was working with another guy in the industry and they went different ways, and that's how Premier Martial Arts came from that. And so
it's kind of how the good ones start, right? They usually start from something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Premier, just in my opinion, and with my experience, it specializes in being able to duplicate the model. It's so systemized, and the curriculum's based off of karate and kickboxing, and it's a new age. I would give me 1 second here. I had a beat coming on my phone. So it's a new age curriculum, very different than what a lot of us grew up in as far as like traditional stuff. So it's going to be based on karate and kickboxing, and the kids love it. It's primarily like as a whole, it's very popular for kids to be able to do it. And honestly, kids are where our money's at for the most part. There's a lot of Premier schools that have strong adult programs that are based off of Krav Maga and whatnot. My specific schools are going to be more like karate, kickboxing, point fighting, and I really try to steer that towards the kids.
Awesome. That's great.
Do you have an opinion on Krav Maga?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So, and I don't mind to say it, right? Like it's okay. That's not like a bad. So my opinion on Krav Maga is that it's just a repackaged version of some good self-defense karate that we did in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
Yes.
some Kempo and some other things, you know, and I mean, they have some different teaching. Like for an example, the high block, but well, we do that in sport karate, but they do like a high block, like simultaneously in the counter strikes. And so there's some different dynamics to it, but like, I really don't necessarily like it, and here's why. It's not technical at all, really. And I know they designed it to not be technical. They wanted to use it for military guys in Israel and kind of a crash course on self-defense. But I'm a sport guy. Like, I like good, clean technique. I like keeping score. I like winning trophies. I like punching people in the face and, like, you know, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, just it goes against a lot of the things that I personally like. And that's not to knock, like, someone else that does like it,
right.
But it's not my thing.
Right. Yeah, I was talking to actually someone that was from a premier school as well, and just talking about Krav and just my mindset towards teaching self-defense. And I really think that a lot of the things that we learn in point fighting can be applied to that the best than a lot of other things, because you're trying to hit first without getting hit, you know? And if you understand the zone and distance and timing, and there's a lot of things that we just apply that to that focused, you know, hey, I don't say defend yourself, because I think when we always think defense, we're a step behind of the person attacking us, but protect yourself, you know? And there's a lot of things that you could use that same concept, you know, towards your self-defense. So I think a lot of us, if we use that same mindset that we use as for point fighting towards that and teaching it in that way, it could be, you know, pretty beneficial for our students. So,
well, high level competitors are the best martial artists in the world. I mean, I don't care what all the people that may watch or listen say, but I've been around martial arts in different organizations and traveled literally the world over. Y'all that follow me on Facebook probably see me teaching at orphanages in other countries. I'm going to Haiti in a few weeks to teach at orphanages there. And
wow.
So I have traveled and trained really extensively, even in different arts. Like I said, you all who follow me, I've done knockdown tournaments, like the traditional stuff, like kickboxing matches, jiu-jitsu tournaments, point fighting. So, like, I consider myself to be pretty well versed. And the guys who compete, like, and I don't care, even in jiu-jitsu, I mean, it's the same. Like, I go to a jiu-jitsu school that specializes in tournaments, because these guys they're just better. They can smoke you. They're so fast, so creative, so tricky.
Yep.
And you know, and that's just the deal, man.
Yeah. It's something about being that mindset of wanting to be a champion and wanting to compete, that if you can apply that to other things, you can definitely do it. And I know that's something that you wanted to talk about as well, is so many of us, and like what you said, your instructor, you know, he may have had, you know, a part-time job or a job, and then the school was a hobby, right? How can sport karate champions or sport karate schools or whatever take their business to the next level? And where do you see that fault happening?
They have to wear more Christmas sweaters.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Alex. Like,
so go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, you know, I tell people this very often, that karate and the business of karate are not so closely related. And I know that's weird, okay? But there's a book. If you're into books or audios or anything, it's called the EMyth. And everyone listening, if you're interested in business at all, you need to read that book before you start your business. And so, you know, the entrepreneurial myth is what that EMyth, that book, stands for. So a lot of times we think, okay, well, I'm good at martial arts. Maybe I'm great at martial arts. I love martial arts. I'm passionate about martial arts. I'm a 10-time world champion. I'm a grandmaster. We have all these things as martial artists that we think matter to us, okay? But they don't matter to a 7-year-old little kid. And his mom, she's 35, maybe, drives a little Honda minivan, and she's never freaking heard of you, never heard of NASCA. She doesn't even know who Raymond Daniels, Horace Gracie, or John Jones. Doesn't know any of them. Doesn't care, okay? She's the one paying your bill. So, you know, and I could talk for hours about this subject. I've actually thought about putting out like some content on the internet that is readily available, because it drives me nuts that more guys, that the high level competitors, the best guys that I've seen in the world, are having to go have a fence company or do something else. They're not making money they can't monetize their skills. They can't even get paid off of martial arts. And that's just, it's terrible. It's a tragic situation. And I think a lot of them would love to, but there's a breakdown somewhere in the knowledge of being able to do that. And I can talk a little bit more about that if you'd like, but.
Well,
Right.
I think that would be good to do because Josh, you're kind of in a unique scenario. You're in a unique situation, you specifically, because what you're doing is you told us your story. You really wanted to compete and perform at a high level. You did that and you achieved that. Still doing that and have found success in the business of martial arts while still doing that. Those two things we don't typically see at the same time as visual examples. We usually see a visual example of one, and if that person does become successful, switch, now there's a visual example of the other. We're literally watching them at the same time.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So, to just go back to like the very beginning of what a person would need to do to get to like where I'm at or even better on their own. And first, we can't do it on our own. So you're going to need a mentor or someone to help you to give you this knowledge. And it's not all going to be based off of your karate knowledge. That is just one small component of the big overall picture of success. So, work ethic is a huge one. I see guys that'll go train 7 days a week, put 2 or 3 hours in the gym at the dojo, but they really don't want to go work 12 hours a day, in their business. And I hate to tell you this, but owning a business is a lot of freaking work, a lot of dirty work. I cleaned up blood off my mats tonight. A little kid lost his toilet. I cleaned pee off the toilets here. Like, there's a lot of work that's not fancy and not pretty, man.
More cleaning than you've ever even thought of in your entire life.
Yep.
You become a master at cleaning.
Right.
Yes.
Cleaning a martial arts school is probably one of the hardest things,
How many bottles of Windex do you go through in a month?
Oh, man.
That's the question. How many bottles of Windex?
Five per studio. Because we use Windex on everything, by the way. It's kind of like the all-purpose cleaner.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's some things that people probably don't think about, but you're going to need to have, and I'm going to use a karate belt parallel system because it's how I grade everything on difficulty. You're going to need to have a green belt knowledge of marketing, how to run Facebook ads and Instagram ads and make yourself relevant, because your pipeline has to be full at all times. If you're really great, but nobody knows about it, you're not going to have any students. That's why the McDojo and the fat, crappy karate guy has more students than you do, because more people know about him.
Right.
That's all it comes down to. They found out about him before they found out about you. And so you're going to need to have, a green belt knowledge of accounting. You're going to have master discipline. You're a martial artist. You should have tons of discipline. We need to have master discipline in your finances, because you can't run a business that has up months and down months and everything else kind of months in between without having some cash behind you. You can start with nothing like I did, but very quickly you're going to have to get money behind you. So if you're blowing all your money, you don't have any room for expansion, upgrades on your stuff, bigger, nicer facilities. So there's no forward momentum there. So just like a karate belt system, to go from white to black, you can't just skip and go boom all the way to the top. Like, you got to go through all that. And it's not always a lot of fun. And you're going to lose a lot of passion that you might have once had for the martial arts. I've been there many times, and go months sometimes without sparring because I'm freaking tired of it. Like, I teach karate, or I don't necessarily teach that much anymore, but I'm always in a dojo. And when I get off work, sometimes I just want to go home and I don't want to think about karate, But no, really, I'm one of the rare exceptions. Like, I still eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff. I love tournaments, and jiu-jitsu is kind of my thing of the present. Like, I really focus on trying to do some tournaments there, but man, I eat martial arts up, but just in the business thing, like I said, there's so many different facets to it that are not related to karate. And I think that's what stumps most people, is because they don't know how to negotiate with real estate agents and sign long-term leases and get the TI dollars they're supposed to get. I mean, there's languages that I did not speak that language when I started as a karate competitor that just wanted a karate school.
Right. Yeah. Man, this is great stuff to share, because, I mean, we've all dealt with it. I know I've dealt with it from when I got into it. I mean, I even remember in high school, people telling me, "Oh, you don't need to go to college. You got set. You can just open a karate school." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." Like, it was just always funny to me hearing that they just thought because
Look at
of
that. All right, Richard. Yeah,
Yeah.
Josh is the man. A great asset to the martial arts / sport karate community.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
great stuff.
All right, what's Ben
And,
saying?
yeah, Ben says
technical versus technical. Business owner. Tactical. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Look, work on your business, not just your business.
Not in your business.
In your business.
He got that from the EMyth. It's work on your business, not in your business. So that's actually from that book. He's read it.
Correct. Yep. Oh yeah. I've always remember that, you know, and it's just you don't and it's the same type of thing. People always say, don't just be your business. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be if you are the thing that runs everything, well, you know, or you're the one that is always running the classes, doing everything, then it's not going to grow.
So would you say that being a great karate school owner is like spinning 10 plates?
Yeah, maybe 20.
Yeah.
But you can't, the moment you let one drop, like, you ever see the guys who just sit here spinning plates all over themselves? If one drops, they all drop.
Yeah, you know, for me, I use the analogy, like, I'll go pick some weeds over here and this side of my garden, and while I'm over here picking, like, the weeds on this side come up, and it seems like that has never failed me so far. Like, you know, I'll really concentrate on one of my schools, getting it going, getting it systemized, and then next thing you know, like, an employee at the other one, like, has to get fired or something happens. You know, it's just never ending. But man, it's so rewarding. I don't want to, like, scare someone into, like, not doing it or not thinking it's fun. I mean, in 6 years, you know, I've been able to buy brand new Corvettes and Harleys and nice homes and travel. You know, like I mentioned earlier, I grew up as a poor kid, you know, and so my wife and I travel a lot. I've got married kids, and I have freedom of time sometimes, you know, because my businesses are leveraged. So, I mean, like, I went to Mexico for a couple of weeks not that long ago, and I mean, I can plug in on the internet and a laptop and kind of take care of the things.
Business, but nobody else is running that business but you. Just because you're there, you're not in the school, you're still running the business. Don't try and make it sound like you were running the business for Mexico. I know you were.
Absolutely. So I was up at 4 a.m. drinking coffee, still working on my business. But nevertheless, like, the martial arts businesses have allowed me to have a income and a lifestyle that I only dreamed about. Like, I don't have a college degree or anything, but I make more money than I think all of my friends that went to college.
But now what?
Yeah.
Now, but see, you do everything you just brought up, like all those things, like, you've got these other schools, you've got this community that you've got to, you know, still keep up with, and you've got employees. Now what? Because now we're in a different scenario.
Yeah. In which context are you getting
I'm talking about COVID.
I was wondering when it was coming.
Yeah.
Well, because you either can have your school open, and you have students and you have a functioning business, or you don't, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't, it's not just like, oh, all of Josh Smith's stuff goes away. It's not, because it's not just about you.
No.
Right. No. So all of these people really kind of rely on you, it sounds like, and in a lot of different facets.
Yeah.
So now what?
Well, go ahead. Just share what's happened this year, I guess.
Yeah. So business has been really rough this year, as everyone knows, with COVID. We got the mandatory lockdowns back in, like, March and April, and one of my schools was just brand new, like 3 or 4 months old, and
oh man,
you know, my studios are not cheap to run. We've got several employees, and we always are in prime shopping centers next to, like, Publix and Targets, and, like, one of my studios, the rent's like $4,000 a month, and, you know, I'm running 15.
Because that's the cost of business to keep it afloat, just to keep the doors open. It's going to cost tons. That's not just including the rent, right? It's everything.
Yeah, payroll, all the different things, right? So we had to shut down for a couple of months. I think it was 6 weeks, but whatever, you know, like, so that was a really, really difficult time, very scary. And I actually ended up, I had some issues with one of the managers at my brand new school in Clarksville, Tennessee. It was brand new at that time. And so I left him on unemployment and eventually fired him. But anyways, I got a bed mattress, man. And I slept in my freaking dojo for 2 months. And I was 100 miles from my family, and I was having to sneak in. At the time, they thought like COVID might even be in showers or something. I don't really know, but they had the shower closed at the gym, and so I was having to sneak in the freaking shower, dude, and like take a shower. And they evidently caught on that I was doing it, so they removed like the shower head, but they still had the hose. So like I'm sneaking in there, like I'm using this hose and
Stop.
No, dude, I swear. so like
wow.
So. I got my business, back afloat, got it profitable, got all the team members on board. Like everything was, jamming and everything's good, man. And then the second wave hit, of what we're in now, and people are catching COVID like crazy all over America. And, it's, one of my schools in Kentucky, and I don't want to turn this whole show into a political thing today. No need to ostracize or create enemies or anything, but it's a well-known fact that, like, if you look across the 50 states right now that are doing tough government lockdowns, it's states that have a Democrat for a governor, and the states that are open have a Republican governor, and you can fact check that if you need to, but that's a fact. So Kentucky, strangely as it is right now, has a Democrat for a governor, and so he's got some really strange lockdowns happening that are only like 20 or 30% of different industries. Like it's not really like a widespread, like everyone must lock down. It's actually like only a few industries must lock down and or shut down.
That's not common for Kentucky to be blue.
No. And I don't know the whole story there.
That's fine. I don't know either, obviously.
The last guy was a jerk, and so they elected this guy, and I bet he doesn't get reelected because it's not a common thing, like you said, Alex. And,
it's kind of like, the head coach of your football team. If you had a defensive-minded head coach and your team went, 2-14, pretty much you fire him and you go with an offensive-minded head coach. That's kind of the way they do. They do that a lot, right? So I guess I could see it. They wanted the guy was a jerk. All right, let's get him out of there. Let's go the opposite direction. Okay, that's fine.
Right. Well, yeah. I remember what you were saying with Kentucky being real different, with it being like the 20% or 30%.
Yeah,
rule.
tell us more about that.
So tell us about that.
So they left abortion clinics open, gambling halls, strip clubs, believe it or not, liquor stores, every big box store, retail that you can think of. My dojo on one side at the foot of the parking lot has a Sam's Club, and on the other side of the parking lot is a shopping mall. So as I look out both directions, both of these places, it's the holiday season. So there's like 600, 800, and I'm not exaggerating, like maybe 1,000 cars. I posted pictures on Facebook, of Dick's Sporting Goods, like just full all the way out to the road, man.
Right.
And so these places are all left wide open. They closed down martial arts studios, dance studios, cheerleading academies.
Yeah.
The restaurant industry is closed.
And these are like our businesses. We can control this stuff. We can distance our students, whatever we need to, a lot easier than.
Yeah, you can't control nothing in Target.
Right. I mean, come on. And that's what I don't get either. And it's funny to me because the whole thing is large, groups of people, right? Well, our thing already is in the title, small business, right? So it to me, it just makes, it's just funny to me how these are the ones that are getting closed and the bigger ones aren't, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, and it really aggravates me. It upsets me. I've been emotionally charged big time over the last month or two because the rhyme and reason is not there. There's no logic. I've thought about it, over and over and over, trying to be objective and think like, okay, how does this make sense? And I can't make sense of it.
Right. And every state's different. I think that's what's really difficult for some people to understand too, is that what you're dealing with is completely different than what someone in New York is dealing with, Virginia, in North Carolina, and it's completely different everywhere. So I think that's been the hardest thing. And some people are like, well, you should shut down this or that. I'm in a town of 1,400 people, you know, like we haven't had that many cases. You know, we're getting more now, but it's not the same as someone in a bigger area or whatever, you know? So there's things like that, you know?
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard also for us to find the truth about what's really happening. Well, what is it? Is the spike happening? Is it not? Are they all dying? Is everybody getting it? And so I would tell you just straight up, like before lockdown, tell you the truth, before lockdowns, it was like, all right, everything's got to lock down. I actually kind of said, I'm done like a week ahead of time. I really did. Because I'm like, I mean, if this thing is what they're saying, what's another week, right? What's another week? And that's what we all did. So then, this is honest, right? So people are talking about, oh yeah, this person got it. All the spikes, all these cases are up. So this happened. My brother lives downtown Minneapolis. Okay, so in the apartment building he lives in, he's right across from the Viking Stadium. And I think like they must have like an age requirement of like 32. Like it's like the beautiful people building. Like you can't live there if you're like 34. They'll just kick you out. You're like, all right, get out of here, geriatric. It's like that, but whatever. So they're in their pool, which is just like knee deep. All it is an excuse to have a drink in your hand, right? And so there's tons of people out there, and it's the summertime, and people are posting stuff to social media. So somebody calls a city on that building. So the building says, all right, everybody has to go get tested for COVID. We're mandatory. Everybody in this building has to do it. All right, whatever. This is the kicker. Check this part out. So they say there's a Hennepin County Medical Center. It's literally across the street. Just go there. Tell them you're from this building. You won't have to pay for anything. Well, my brother's a Marine. Okay. So he goes over there. And he goes, whoa, this is a super long line. They go, yeah, it's probably going to be like an hour and a half to 2 hours. He goes, all right, see ya. And he leaves, and he goes to the VA. And he gets tested at the VA, and they go, no, you don't got nothing. Well, that night, he gets a phone call. Says, from Hennepin County Medical Center. Says, hey, you tested positive for COVID. Oh, interesting. I did I tested positive for COVID? That's interesting.
Yeah.
So then, this is how they get you. Everybody in the building apparently tested positive. His roommate tested positive, did the same thing. Walked in there and said, man, I'll have to come back tomorrow. Then get a phone call that says, oh, you tested positive. Oh, I did I? So then I hear about this same type of story from a bunch of other people. So then I start going, well, what is it then? Are we getting it or are we not? Do we know? We don't even know. Because what is it? When you get it, what happens? We don't even know.
Yeah, it's
been I caught it, so
yeah.
I know.
Yeah. So tell me.
Yeah.
I heard Alex Reyes was telling us about when he got it. So I know 2 people now who have had it.
Yeah, well, my whole family.
Or have had symptoms and stuff.
Yeah, sure. So, you know, and I don't want to be insensitive, and I'm not, to anyone that has died or got a grandpa or whatever, because we know that this goes up exponentially as age comes into play.
And everyone deals with it and reacts to it differently. So
sure, I'm 39 and I'm in perfect health and very active and athletic, and so for like the first 48 hours when the symptoms came on, you know, I was dealing with fatigue and headache, and you know, honestly, I thought I had allergies and sinuses, and I might have, you know, in addition to having COVID. But when I went into
sinus infection, it felt like a sinus infection.
Yeah, for sure. So I went to the clinic and to get treated for allergies and sinuses. They're like, hey, why don't you get tested for COVID while you're here? And I'm like, okay, you know. And so sure enough, it took a few days to get the results back. But by the time the results came back 3 or 4 days later, like the symptoms had subsided. But the one that stuck with me for like about a 10-day period of time, and I knew I had it too, like even before the test, because I lost my sense of smell and taste. I mean, like wiped clean. It was the craziest thing. And so really that was the only symptom, you know, that and I don't want to like undermine it, but I mean, really it wasn't bad for me and my wife. The same, got through it. The sense of smell and taste was the most distinctive side effect. And then my kids, like my 3-year-old daughter had a little dry cough for a couple of days, but like they never even slowed our kids down. Like they were asymptomatic, and so very little side effects. But we had a lot of cases of it going around like this region, this area, and with our kids at the karate school as well. Like, I don't know necessarily like which ones necessarily had it. Their parents would call them, but hey, we've had exposure, or we're just not going to be there for the next 14 days or whatever. But it was definitely going around.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, all of us are dealing with this in a lot of different ways, and either if it's our business shutting down and having to be since really like March of everything being different, and it's been completely different no matter what. And what are some of the other things that you did during this time? You did virtual classes, right?
Yeah. So I think it's worth mentioning, if I skipped over this part, that like, although Kentucky did mandate some shutdowns, like I openly defied them and told them, that I'm not shutting down. So I didn't shut down again. I'm not going to.
Right.
It's just, I'm not getting with it. I'm a former Marine. Once again, not to get too political, but man, like I don't believe that they have that ability. They may can think they do, or write I don't know, whatever kind of. I'm willing to go to jail for it. Like, I believe that strongly in my right that I am essential. My family, feeding my family, I'm working. Like, you're not going to make a criminal out of me. Like, you may try. Like, I'm going to get a lawyer. We're going to go to court. I'm going to sue the governor. Like, we're going to go to the highest courts. Like, whatever. Like, I'm just not doing it. So I stayed open through this last shutdown, and I did offer some Zoom classes, mostly because I had COVID myself and couldn't go into work. So I started doing the Zoom classes for the kids, because we did have enough out over a couple of week period, and we're wrapping those up right now, getting Zoom out of the way, and getting the kids back to group classes and stuff. And as a whole, like, we know, I don't know if you all have watched or seen the videos in the last couple of weeks. I feel like the media tries to like kind of censor this, but Dr. Fauci and the head guy of the CDC have both now came out saying, we don't need to close our schools. Schools need to be open, or, close the bars, open the schools. That's what Fauci was quoted saying, and
he said, close the bars, open the schools.
Yeah. That's what he said, So they, which I don't care if they close bars. I don't drink anymore. But open the schools. Well, all of my students are school age kids for the most part. Like, they're, the data. Everyone says follow the data and the science, and the data and science. Quoting Dr. Fauci, says it's really not a big deal at all for kids. That's what he said. You can go back and watch the videos. Like, I'm not making that part up. And and there's 100 other things. People need to watch their own videos and stuff, but like, martial arts schools need to be open. And furthermore, I don't care who disagrees. Like, I'm not shutting down, so it doesn't matter.
Right. So, I mean, Josh, besides money, and just kind of to wrap this thing up, why do you feel that your students need to be at the karate school? Like, just explain that. What is it that, I mean, you obviously have made this your career for a reason, right? Like,
you thought it was essential.
Yeah, you thought it was important, right? So share that.
Yeah, and I believe in it so wholeheartedly that, like, my children have to do martial arts until the day they're 18, because I believe that teaching a kid to have confidence and how to defend themselves, and having social interaction and routine, and just all the normalcy of things that kids need. Like, it's the single most important thing that's helped me in my life outside of like the Marine Corps, and maybe even in some ways more than the Marine Corps in different ways. But our children, they need to be in a structured environment, and martial arts will provide that for them.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And I always say, like, us as martial artists, especially ones who decided to get into even martial art, even if you don't have a school, you've always been told, well, why are you doing that? Or, that's not going to work, or whatever. And, oh, well, you won't be successful being a martial arts school owner, or you can't do this, or that will never work in this town. And so we've always fought for what we do, and for our business and our type of living, right? I mean, I think we always have. No matter what. I mean, for me, I was the one martial artist in my whole town, and so I know what that's like. I'm sure you've dealt with that thing too, of just being, everyone else did other sports, you did this. we've always fought for what we do. That's what we learned to do, right? So why do we stop now? Let's keep fighting for what we believe in and help our students, during this
Josh,
time.
you got a bunch of people showing you love in the
man.
comments right now. Lauren Carney is jumping on there as well. Ben Stewart is. Ben
awesome
Franzen.
Yep.
Yeah, they're
great stuff.
What did Lauren say?
Lauren said a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Jeff, will you read it? My eyes are really bad.
Let's see.
All right. Well, here's
so he just said, I think one of the biggest issues with the whole COVID-19 lockdowns was how it was originally sold to people. It was basically sold to people as everyone stay inside for 2 weeks so we can flatten the curve and lessen the impact on hospitals. It's now turned into everyone locked down until the vaccine comes out and the majority of people are vaccinated. Which sucks for small businesses is that they tell you to lock down and offer you no relief while still have expenses and bills to pay. Yeah.
And I want to comment on that. Bill, if I can have just 1 minute, Ben made a great point, and I forgot to mention this. And one of the main decision-making things, really, I wasn't going to shut down anyway, so don't let me misconstrue you. But my lawyer calls me about this. This is like last week when Kentucky's governor's like, you have to shut down. And he's freaking out on me. And I'm like, dude, I'm not participating in that. He's like, it's not optional. You don't get to choose if you participate. And I'm like, yes, I do. I'm not doing it. And I said, dude, I stayed up all night last night researching the state relief package. So Kentucky's got $40 million to provide for some sort of CARES Act relief or whatever. And
where does it go?
And $40 million, by the way, is not going to be a drop in the bucket for Kentucky's people. And the governor has mentioned that and pled for help from the federal government, but the federal government told them not to shut down. And so there's some breakdowns, and they're not getting ready to bail out these states that are wanting to bankrupt their states and shut them down, hoping they get federal money. That's a different conversation. But anyways, the $40 million is only going to bars and restaurants only. So if you're a martial arts gym owner or
you're not getting it.
You're not getting nothing. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm not shutting down and letting you bankrupt me and not giving me any compensation.
Well, Josh, let's say this. Let's rewind to when you first opened your second school. And let's say the lockdowns happened then. What do you think would have happened to your business?
Bankrupt. No doubt.
You'd be done, right?
Done. And that one would have tanked the other one as well, because these are all sort of chained together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Man. Well, listen, I've enjoyed hearing your story. Yeah, let's see what Ben. So Josh Smith, my man, small businesses are being destroyed all over North America, while big boxes is crushing it. Fairness and equality is all we want. Yeah, and that's what you've said. And so, man, we both wanted to have you on here just so that way you could kind of tell your side of your video that you had out and just share just more behind the scenes of what it took to make your business what it is, and how also I think a lot of people can learn from you. From, going from no schools to 3 schools in 6 years, and going to be 5 very soon. So, man, keep up the great work. Keep that passion for martial arts and keep teaching those students just all the amazing stuff that you do, man. So
thank you guys. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it, man. And you can check out the rest of the stream and comment to those questions if you want, or the comments. And again, guys, just follow us on Martial Arts Center Network. Josh, we're going to let you go as we have some other things to do, but have a great night, buddy.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Yes, all right. Man,
that was pretty good, man.
That was.
I mean, the way he kind of mapped out, really all right, if you're really serious about opening a karate school, okay, now you want to open up multiple schools, go through checklist A, B, C, D, E. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's good stuff. That's real good stuff.
And there are things that successful martial arts school owners know, but probably also ones that people wish they would have known going into it. Okay, rewind a couple weeks when we had John Worley on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, remember that? It still blows my mind. I've known him for this is going on almost 30 years. I've known him.
Right, and you just
I didn't know
up and went.
He just moved. That's the wildest thing about that interview. That he just to move to Minnesota from DC by way of Texas and stayed there for 2 months before they even had a place to move into. What?
Right.
Anyway.
All right, man. So we got some big news. That we are
let's pull it up
to share. And Jesse Ray hit me up today and said, "Hey, would you guys like to share the brand new VFT rankings?" So we're going to bring up the first one so we can kind of see where they went from, where it went, and then where everything's moved from the next one. So we look at these first ones. So we have let's see, scroll a little bit down.
There's diamond,
bronze,
platinum,
yeah. So the
gold,
very bottom
silver,
is the bronze, right? So if you look at the bronze, those are the people from the first one.
So there's nobody in the
two.
diamond yet, it looks like.
Right. Just hold on, Alex. All right. So the bronze is kind of the ones that lost during their first fight, right? Okay, and that were maybe at a level that weren't.
Anthony won, didn't he?
All right, Alex, shut up for a second. All right.
Sorry,
this was the first rankings. Okay.
All right.
I'm explaining the first rankings to you. Then we're going to show the second ones. This has been after the second two events. Okay.
I'm getting excited.
All right.
Sorry,
so the first
man.
ones, we have ones that kind of had lost in the first one or the second one, right?
True.
And then we have the silver. So it's based on not just if you won or lost, but who you fought. Okay. So you look at Bailey. Bailey won his first one, but he lost his second one. But he lost to Jack, right? So he's still at a gold level, right? So platinum right now is Kevin and Ryan. Those are two high-level competitors, and Kevin moved up to platinum. Ryan went down to silver. So for them, the way I would look at it would be both were gold level, and whoever won either went up, the other one went down. And that's kind of the way. So when you look at these, kind of think of it like that, right? Tyreek, kind of the same thing. Him and Bailey. Bailey probably, if he didn't lose to Jack, would have been platinum, right? But then he lost the second one and moved down to gold. So that way for people to kind of understand how this goes, right? And so now we're looking to the next rankings. This is after the Texas one. So we got a lot more fighters on here. And you see now Anthony Merrick's moved up to silver, right? You look at El Java. El Java is at silver, but he lost to Yoskar, but Yoskar and him, again, both at gold level fighters, right? So one lost, one moved up.
So what do you think about these? Do you agree with them all?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look at the top. So you got Kevin, Jack, Yoskar, and Cam. Those are platinum. Now, if you scroll down a little bit, or scroll up so I can see. Yeah. So right above that is diamond. Okay. No one is at diamond yet. That means one of these people got to start 1 and 2, 1 and 3. Get on a streak, right? Of beating high level people as well. So
let's talk about the platinum ones and what they've done to get to platinum. So Kevin's done the inaugural VFT, won in double overtime, worthy of being in platinum, no doubt. Right? Jack beat Bailey, who also
already had a win.
And then beat him. Well, I think it was by 1. Was it by 1 or 2?
I think it was by more points than what we thought, but
it felt like
it was close. Yeah. So and then Yoskar and Java, which you really think about, those two were known as the best two 40 and up fighters or whatever, right? And so they were at gold level. Whoever won moved up, right? And Yoskar, I mean, he shocked everyone, I think, with that. So, and then
I don't think he shocked it. He didn't shock Venezuela.
No, of course not. No.
Venezuela already hasn't been done, which is all right. I get it. Go for the guy.
And Cam, came into this as a platinum one. I think already saying there with Jack. Those two, I think, would have been platinum.
Yeah, Cam
from the beginning.
Really, he didn't. Like, he was pretty much already there in pencil, and then did the fight,
So
and became there,
So I mean, and now looking here, anyone to move up to diamond, Yoskar. I mean, if he beats Jason, I would put him up there as diamond because those are two of the best of his age category there are out right now. I mean,
I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I guess
if he wins, I mean,
that
would
I
probably
guess so.
move him up there. So,
Yeah,
I
winning
love to
is
see,
winning. You're right.
Yeah.
If he wins, I guess so.
I mean, but it's who he goes against. You know what I'm saying? So look at
Right.
the two people he's going against.
It's not just that he's winning; it's that he beat El Java. Then if he beats Tank,
if he beats Tank, then all right, yeah, right. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's about who you're going against. Yeah. So now I'm
gonna tell you this: if he beats Tank, I'm gonna be on Yoskar's bandwagon right now. Okay,
right,
I'll tell you this, guys, right now. If Yoskar beats Tank, I'm still gonna feel what I feel about Tank, but all right, Yoskar, you get all cred.
Right. So he's the only one I think. Well, all right. So there's some questions on this. Does this team fight that Kevin's involved go towards this? Right.
I think we got to watch the way it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, if All Stars wins in dominating fashion, but Kevin doesn't fight that much, maybe it doesn't. Yeah, maybe they lose, but Kevin's just lighting everybody up. You never know. I don't know. I think we have to watch the matches go. Is there a rank amongst the colors? So if a gold fights a gold, do they move up in the gold list or to platinum? That's a good question.
That's a good question. I'm not sure. Jesse was on a little while ago, but I don't know. Maybe he'll add on in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm looking at him, and let's look at the gold. Emma Kilcullen, Romani Alicia, Brandon Balu, Bailey Murphy, Tyson Ray, Regina Thompson,
and Jason
Latona.
Right. So, I mean,
Is there anybody that you would look at and you would go, yeah, but, I mean, come on. Is there anybody? I don't know.
What do you mean? Yeah, but come on, what? What do you mean?
Maybe you should be a silver.
Oh.
They all won.
They won. They won. I mean, it's so early right now in this thing to kind of say that, you know. I don't know. I mean, we will see when they go against people, you know. I mean, there's definitely Tyson and Jason. If they get other wins, they should probably be in a platinum area for their age group. Which
see, that's funny because Jason is the one where I'm thinking, do we put a question mark next to Jason?
Right, but I
don't know because he won.
Based off his win. You might be right, but I guess for me, I'm looking at his past things, and we are still looking at the past to get these rankings currently because we're looking at the quality fighters and what their accomplishments have been outside of this to get them to there. Now, after this thing kind of goes for a year, we can start.
Oh yeah, when we're
throwing out what they did in Sport Karate Pass and just focus on what VFT is, you know. But right now, we kind of can't. And I think that's why it's going to be interesting looking back at these in the next, 6 months or looking over in the next 6 months and how it kind of goes, you know. So, like John Claude said, he said it depends on quality of opponent. So, I mean, I think the best thing, what I would be doing if I was in any of this is I'd be trying to get a fight with someone.
Well, Jason
in
is just gold.
Right?
That's what Jesse is saying.
Yeah. Got it. And so I think they need to look for people within that area. You know what I mean? But now right now we still have so many fighters that haven't been in this yet. You know, you're going to have Christian, you're going to have Hope, you're going to have more females that kind of get added into this over this next one. You know, you're going to have Robbie involved. Jesse and John, if I don't know if you saw my question about how is Kevin's rankings going to be involved in this next team fight? You know, with the because it is a team fight. Will the team fight go towards these individual rankings, or what's going to happen? And how would the draft thing work over time?
I'm excited to see that
that's going to be fun. So John Claude
anything draft related, I'm getting excited about.
If a gold destroys a bronze, then it would be hard to move up to platinum. Okay, I get what he's saying.
Yeah, so Lauren's got a good question too. So will this take a UFC type approach for Jason Latona to fight Jack, he would have to beat Jack's last loss.
Interesting. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I don't think Jason. Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, if you look at that, Lauren's got a great point. Jason can't just jump right to fighting Jack. Right?
No, he has to fight another. That's what I mean. You would have to fight another gold.
Yeah.
You know, so Tyson, Bailey. I mean, he's old enough. He could fight any of these guys. You know, if he. I mean, honestly, for me, a good fight would be him and Romani. And again, that would just kind of help him get on. I guess improve his showing from last time. You know.
What about this one? What do you think about this, Jeff? What if Tyreek fights Jason? And Jason puts the whoop on Tyreek.
Well, then.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Does that up? That's a good fight. Too,
that's a good fight, and that fight's a great one. Yeah, that's
and what if Tyreek puts the whoop on Jason? Does that elevate him? I don't think it can elevate him to platinum if the guy who beat him is still sitting in gold.
No. I would put him at gold because he would be 1-1. You know.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not sure how this team fight will go. You know, if Tyreek wins one of his fights or two of his fights, but his team doesn't win, where does that kind of go with that? So interesting to see what happens with that.
All right, so the silvers, let's see. We got Ryan George, Tyreek Saint, El Java Abdul Kadir, Prolata, Milligan Cuffy, and Alyssa. I can't really see. What is it?
Yeah, there's more on silver. I think we lost Travis. But
that's okay. Oh.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so Alex,
Alyssa, Darren Payne, Alex Macias.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys can move
Chance
up.
Turner,
You know?
Anthony Moore.
I mean,
but
Anthony
you know what they're going to have to do?
Fight, so.
This is what's great. They're going to move up. They're going to fight more. Right?
Right.
So this is going to be great.
Yeah. I mean, I think Alex is someone who, after that fight, is going to be even more hungrier and wanting to fight more. And, you know, I think he would definitely be one that I would see him and Darren. Both of those guys are ones that I would think would be on the rise to gold. You know, if Ryan fights again, I always look at him. Anthony is fighting again in January, so he has an opportunity to move up.
Yep.
You know, Alyssa had a good showing. We'll see what happens with her. So.
Of the guys that lost their their one and only fight, everybody who lost their one and only fight, who looks, because there's some of them that are in silver and some of them that are in bronze, right? But of those that either silver or bronze, who's one of the ones that lost their one and only fight that you're like, damn, you look damn good. I wish I could say you had a win, but you don't. You know?
I'd have to say Alex. That would be who I would say, because I think a lot of people thought Jason was going to beat him by more, and you know it went to overtime, right?
I think it might be Ryan George for me.
Well, yeah, that's one as well. I mean, it would be those.
And I
two.
like
Alex. It would be those two for me. But I think Alex and Ryan definitely. You know, in a close third. I don't know. I mean, Tyreek is definitely one I know is going to. I mean, it's tough, you know. But yeah, with the one and only fight, I think everybody's kind of where they at with their area.
They're gonna need multiple fights to start, you know, leveling up. Because let's say Chance Turner fights, Ryan George, for example, and beats Ryan George. You know, he could go up to gold, maybe. You know, I guess it would have to depend on how the fight looks, right?
Right.
So, it's interesting. So they're gonna have to get a lot more fights in there.
Yeah, and we're gonna see that. So
I think this is like, for example, Chance. Okay, I think Chance has got nowhere to go but up.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
I think that's. But if he loses his next one, I don't think he can get all the way up.
Right. Well, I mean,
like play. I don't think he can get there.
It depends how many times he fights and what this all looks like in a year. You know, some of the people that are in platinum may never fight again. You know, I mean there may be some that don't fight again, or some that. So who knows how that's going to work?
That would be messed up if that was the case. Come on, we already can't go to karate tournaments.
Yeah, right.
Give us this.
Right. So, I mean, yeah, I'm excited about this. I'm interested to see what happens after, the Forms Tour next weekend. Excited for that. Next week, we will do our predictions for all the shows coming up. I'm excited about, I'm going to be personally a part of the Forms event, the pay-per-view. I'm going to be commentating alongside Carmichael and Jackson. So I'm excited about that. And, man, it's, I guess I'm going to have to give my predictions, even though I'm commentating. At least I'm not judging. If I was judging, I couldn't publicly do predictions. But I think
you're not.
It's
You're
all
not
right.
judging.
Yeah,
Big
it's all
deal.
good. So
Commentators do that stuff all the time.
I'm excited to break those down with you more next week, because
man.
that's going to be fun, and I'm sure that those will kind of lead to some of the questions and some of the comments I had to say on the show next Saturday as well. So, it's going to be exciting.
So CTE was, when they were talking about this, I commented in, and Chris mentioned it, that this is maybe the one and only time where I'm excited to see every single form.
Right.
I
It's
can't
be
think
great.
of another time I've ever been excited to see each and every single form.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited about it. It was a great first group that he set up to do, and it's a different variety of people and competitors, and it sets it up. See, this is set up very well for the rankings because there's one of every category, right? When we did the first fighting tour, it really wasn't like that. There wasn't any women. There was a junior fight, and there was this or that. But this now it's like, all right, we have our men's, I'll call it open style, right? Or creative style, whatever, there. And then we'll have our women's open style. And then we'll have our men's traditional. And then we'll have our juniors, So we still have a couple more, like a women's traditional would be good, and then a junior female. So that would maybe be on the next one. But we have a good one of each kind of area. So we can, really see what's up with that. So I'm excited about it, man. It's pretty interesting.
I want to get predictions so bad. We can't do it right now.
No. Next week,
be here forever. Next week,
and we can kind of hear a little bit of CTEs, but we can also debate a little bit of that as well. So, this is a good question.
Good.
Let's bring this up, Lauren. So, is there anything you are hoping live tournaments learn from this style of competition? I hope the judging, and I hope just the.
Speak on that a little bit, though, Jeff. But when you say you hope the judging, what do you mean?
Well, I hope that the judging in this is really based on, like more detail. And I remember actually Jesse, when he was on our show, he talked about that it was going to be more based on, difficulty, creativity, technique, those types of things, to where they give a score for that. I think when you get at this high level of that, it has to be more intricate. And I think in some ways, like there's ways we can learn from that, so I would like that part. I also think that if we limit it, I'm trying to think, if we put the best up there on stage, we can put it on a good show, right? But if we try to throw everybody up there, it's not the same. And, I think that there's something about that when there was tons of people in the finals, like going to watch the finals in the 80s. And there was, one forms grand, and one fighting grand.
How about this way? This is something that's recent that we all know of. The U.S. Open in the past has done their finals differently than every other tournament.
Right.
They run their grand championships off, then they have what they're going to do for ESPN.
Yeah. Right.
And they said, well, yeah, I know you took second in your division, but man, everybody wants to see you. So come on. Right. Yeah. And that's okay, because that's exactly what this is. This is a set match.
It's a show. Yeah, it's a set match.
Yeah. We want to see, Alan Davies go up there. I got that kid can freaking fly. All right. Then going up with Mr. Viral and then against Rashad. This is good. That's going to be, man,
it's going to be a great. It's going to be
I can't wait.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm excited to talk more about it and give my opinions on all the matchups next week. But let's see.
The only thing that can go wrong with this.
Yes, John. Yeah, we heard that on CT as well. Traditional Kai would dismiss the one-trick ponies. They must submit 5 kata. So that's great. So they got to say, hey, these are the 5 that I'm going to do. And then they pick, and then they go and do them. So, so it's going to be 3 rounds. So it can't just be that, hey, I'm going to do the same form against you doing 2 or 3 different ones. So it can't just be someone who only does one traditional form. So I like that. That's good.
Yeah. I think the only thing that can really make this thing not explode is if people drop their weapon or they fall.
Right.
You know?
But the way he said it, yes, you deduct a certain amount, but you don't go to the lowest. You look at their form.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
it's just going to be that. If that happens at all, we're going to go, but what if? That's all I'm saying.
But Alex, that's why there's 3 people, and I think that's why it's better than just one-on-one. Because if it was one-on-one, then that would happen. But with 3 people, you add that kind of element of, okay, this goes up and down and everything. So, you could have 2 people not do very well, though, on their open form and one kill it. And then that same person drop and the other 2 do decent on their next one. And then guess what? We have a tie somehow. That could happen. So, and then you get to, a battle at the end. So I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be great. I think Mason Stoll is a beast. I mean, have you seen some of his pictures he's put out lately of him training? Dude's jacked up.
What do you mean?
Just beastly. Like doing his traditional forms with no shirt on. This dude's like in shape, dude. He's just killing it.
To watch little kids with no shirts on, man.
Oh my! See, there you go. All right. Anyways, so what I'm saying, like, he's not the same kid that we saw growing up. He's an adult now, right? And he's trying. I mean, he's a beast. So it's gonna be interesting to see how he takes it to the next level against another one of the top ranked competitors in traditional kata. So I'm excited to see that. And yeah, man. And the females one, I think it's going to be interesting. So.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be good.
And
I'm excited to see what
junior one, and the junior one is probably in many ways the most even. So it's going to be pretty cool.
Right.
So I'm excited for it.
It's fantastic.
Yep. Anything else you want to talk about? We got
Merry
a couple
Christmas.
minutes left. Yeah.
Does everybody like? Nobody even said anything about my Christmas sweaters. I'm gonna wear another one.
Yes.
I
forgot that about the Christmas sweater thing. We need to get back into that.
I did it at an appropriate, time frame between now and Christmas. I didn't.
Well, see, last year when you were doing it, like we were sometimes putting out small videos and stuff, sometimes not. And so now it's perfect because we're live. So it's like, hey.
Yes, this is very true.
Yes.
I think I did it with like a turtleneck sweater when we interviewed John Chung.
That's right. You did.
Yeah. I was hot, man. I'm going to tell you.
I bet.
But that's all right.
Oh, man. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much.
This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. See you guys next week. Have a blessed weekend.